Big development which has come in the electoral bonds case. The Supreme Court of India has rejected the State Bank of India's June 30th extension plea to furnish bonds details. The apex court concluded that the requisite information is sufficiently available with the bank. It has been directed to disclose the information by the close of business hours tomorrow, that is the 12th of March. Meanwhile, the Election Commission has also been ordered to compile and publish the information on their website no later than 5 p.m. on the 15th of March. Now, the State Bank of India highlighted the challenge in reconciling donor details and redemption details, which it claims were stored in separate information silos. The bank's counsel acknowledged that bank had the purchaser details but explained the difficulty in matching them with the bond numbers. Now, to put it simply, they essentially said, the SBI said that matching of information to ascertain who contributed to which political party is a time-consuming process since the information is maintained separately. SBI's counsel also mentioned that some of the information was kept physically, not digitally, compounding the difficulty of the task. Now, responding to the request, Chief Justice Chandrachud pointed out that the court's directions did not require SBI to conduct a matching exercise, but simply to disclose the information. Justice Chandrachud noted that the bank had the necessary details as evidenced by its KYC records. During the hearing, the Chief Justice also questioned the State Bank of India over its non-disclosure of the progress made so far. He said, and I'm going to quote him here, "Our judgment was issued on the 15th of February. Today, it is the 11th of March. In the last 26 days, what is the extent of matching which has been done by you? The affidavit is silent on this. We expect a degree of candor from the State Bank of India." Now, the details sought from SBI include the date of purchase of each electoral bond, the name of the purchaser of the bond, and the denomination of the electoral bond purchased. Details of each electoral bond encashed by the political parties, including the date of such encashment, were also asked to be disclosed. This decision comes less than a month after a constitution bench of the Supreme Court directed SBI to submit details of electoral bonds purchased since the 12th of April 2019 to the Election Commission of India (ECI) by the 6th of March. However, 2 days before the deadline, the bank filed an application seeking an extension till the 30th of June, citing the complexity of decoding and compiling data from the sale of these bonds. All right, for more on this, we are being joined by Sandeep Ghosh, author and political commentator, who's joining us live from Kochi. So welcome to WION. I want to get to it directly. The Supreme Court doesn't want SBI to match and ascertain who contributed to which political party and finds no grounds to give more time to SBI to furnish these details. Now, what do you make of the Supreme Court's direction here? Was it expected?
Supreme Court's direction, I think, brings in clarity. There was an interpretation which was made, sometimes people like to hear what they want to hear, or rather hear what they like to hear. And they thought that this disclosure, there will be a very clear identification of who has received how much from whom. And that, today's judgment clarifies, and in fact, that purpose is, if some people were pressing for it, that has got defeated. Because what Supreme Court has reiterated at the query of Mr. Harish Salve, who was the counsel for State Bank, that we never asked for the correlation.
Yeah.
We only wanted the listing of who has bought how much. And that, without correlation, as they've talked about the silos, etc., I think would be, quite different from what I think people were expecting. And I don't think that'll really put anybody in embarrassing spot, except for the people who have bought it. But when people have bought it, because they bought it against checks, their buyers have not had no secret to hide. But people don't like to generally, obviously, tom-tom about how much they have bought and how much they have done. But those were known that who has bought how much of bonds. So that's what is going to come. So I think this is, at the end of it, if I were to use a term, this is much ado about nothing. It's not to be a molehill there. The facts will come out. which in totality, I think was already known because a lot of names have come out of who has bought how much of bonds. That'll probably come down in a serialized manner. And the separate information will come as to who has received. Now, if those are correlated, either by, ECI or SBI at a later, that's a separate story. But I think Mr. Salvi,
yes,
at the end of it, re-clarified before, once the judges dictated, the Chief Justice dictated his judgment. He says, I don't want any confusion tomorrow if the applicants raise this matter again. And I think I couldn't make out who from the bench. Somebody clarified, no, we are absolutely clear as to what was asked for and what we were supposed to do.
Mr. Ghosh, now SBI has little over 24 hours to furnish those details. I just want to take a little further from there. How do you see this playing out, given that we're just weeks away from the general elections?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think this is going to really impact.
Much ado about nothing is what you're essentially saying, even though, elections are weeks away.
Expecting that, there'll be a linkage that Mr. A has given so much, which has gone to party B. That nexus will not be established, from my understanding, by what is disclosed at this stage. There could be inferences. It could be, let's say, if Mr. A has bought huge number of bonds, people can infer that these bonds have gone probably to party B rather than party C. But that's a matter of conjecture. See, the point is, it is not, other than the left, the CPIM, it is not that others have not received donations through electoral bonds. And those money, you might say that one party, BJP, has received a very large amount, comparatively larger amount, which is natural because they, being the ruling party not only at the center but in many states. Others have not, what others have received are not insubstantial. And there are many regional parties, forget Congress, which has disclosed its numbers, regional parties like there is the TDP, there is DMK, there is the NCP, there is TMC. All these parties, if you see from the amounts already disclosed, they had substantial amounts received through electoral bonds. So it's not that, some people are very cautious while accusing others. If it was only BJP who received, and others showed that, they have received either nothing or next to nothing.
So all political parties have received the kind of funding from...
More than 150 to 150 crores, which is by any stretch. You can say, while BJP has received 900, we have received only 250. That's a matter of relative thing. It's like saying that X spent so much on his son's wedding and Y spent...
All right. All right, Mr. Sandeep Ghosh, thank you so much for joining it. Author and political commentator joining us from Kochi. Mr. Ghosh has, comes on board to share his insights on this. We will be in touch as the hearing happens tomorrow as well. We'll be tracking it closely. Thank you so much for your time, sir.